Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM. If you are new to Microsoft Flight Simulator, you're going to need all the assistance you can get. You would like to, of course, have a pilot instructor on your right-hand side to tell you exactly what to press and what to hold back or when to pull the trigger. But if you don't have one and you're just trying it on your own, the place to start would be from the main options menu, go to assistance. Assistance is like your pilot instructor. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. Here it gives you all the different options as to how much help you want to get from the artificial intelligence pilot or AI pilot, so that you're not going to crash before you take off. How is it possible? Well, some people do. Anyway, so you go to all these different options relating to piloting, aircraft system, failures and damage, navigation, notification, and user experience. It depends, how well you are experienced. If you're starting off, you're probably not ready to fly a 737. All right, we look at piloting here and say take off auto rudder. You like to leave all these things on so that you get instructions minute by minute, step by step, what to do. And once you do those things, see what the results are. Or maybe overshoot or undershoot and see what happens. And by doing these different maneuvers, you're not only training your mind, but also you're training your muscles as to how much you want to press or how much you want to turn or twist so that you are on the right track. But if you make a mistake, this artificial intelligence pilot will be there to tell you to slow down. Not the aircraft, but your movements. Anyway, assisted yoke, you would like to turn it on. Why not? If you're not going in the right direction, it will turn it off, or you can turn it off, and if the instructions are different from what you're doing, then you can make the correction. Then assisted checklist, turn it on. Assisted landing, this is most important. When you're landing, you need all the help because we get excited, and in the excitement, we're afraid that maybe we're going to just have a hard landing. But if you leave this one on, so you get all the instructions, so you can just focus on the engine speed, the height, and the brakes, all these different things. Assisted takeoff, of course, you want to leave it on. And let's go to the aircraft mode systems. Fuel mixture, just leave it on. Fuel, make sure you have unlimited fuel, because you can leave the plane flying in the air and try out all these different controls. I would say undershoot and overshoot and see what happens and see what is the right amount of pressure or movement you have to do in order to get the desired effect. This is just like learning a new game like tennis. Initially, we are rough, we are going in all directions, but as we get more and more familiar with the system, your muscles develop memory so that it can do it subconsciously even without thinking. Same thing with the aircraft lights. You can leave it on because they can be turned on from inside from most aircrafts. Then auto calibration on. Let's look at the next part. Let's minimize these. Next, we go to navigation, taxi ribbon. Some of these, like for example, airport markers, I would just leave them on. Same thing, taxi ribbon, you can leave it on so you can see where you're going. And taxi lights, the landing lights are certainly something you want to have. City markers, you can leave it on if you like. Similarly, I think there was one for the landing pad. I would say just leave it on. The landing pad tells you what line you need to be aligned as you're approaching the landing. And you need to be in the landing line many thousands of feet or miles before you actually land. So this will help you to make sure that you get in the landing line which is parallel to the line, so that you are well prepared, and the next thing you need to focus would be the height and the speed and the nose tip. So that will help you to have less things to worry about, because if you are just making a sudden turn and trying to land, you can do it, but if you're not an expert, you know what's going to happen next. Anyway, so let's move on to the next part, which is navigation and aircraft systems. Flying tips, definitely I would leave them on. Objectives, you want to know your flight plan, where you're starting, where you're making a first turn, where you're going to make the second turn based on the navigation, whether you have to go 260 degrees or you have to go 150 degrees or 37 degrees. All those things have to be pre-planned, so that when you reach a certain point, that's when you turn on the navigation button to the desired angle. At the same time, you also want to maintain the altitude, which can be controlled on the dashboard. Similarly, you want software tips on, definitely, and user experience. If you are starting off for the first time, I would say leave the user experience easy. And if you are a pro, like a fighter jet pilot, then you can leave it to hard, because you're more interested in trying to get your enemy killed. So you don't have to worry about learning flight simulation if you're in a fighter jet. So there are a few other things. ATC voice, you can leave them on, so you have some kind of a realistic feeling when you're sitting inside the cockpit. So these are all some of the things that you need to focus on. And as I said, this is like a instructor pilot sitting next to you, giving instructions step by step before you get on the runway and try to take off. I hope this has been useful to you, and remember these tips. Write down some of these tips before you get ready to get on the runway to take off. Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next time.